Hi guys, it's Tracy. Thanks for joining me. Today I'd like to take you on a tour around my craft room. This is something I've been wanting to do for a little while now, and today is the day. Before we get started, I'll share some photos taken from around my craft room. Okay, let's go in. Usually this room is a disaster area, but I have cleaned it up, especially for this tour. Whoa, look at that, all nice and clean and tidy. Don't worry, it won't stay that way for very long. Something about being creative and messy rings true to me. I'm just going to pan around the room so you can get the feel of the room before I start the video tour. And as you can see, I like to have things on display that I have made. These things are three-dimensional items that have been made using cutting files. These cutting files I have purchased from SVG Cuts or Dreaming Tree and cut them on my electronic cutters and put them together. This low-line bookcase you see here, I only just got that sorted out yesterday how I wanted it. I'm a short girl and I don't like having things up high, so this is perfect for having things within arm's reach. Okay, so we're going to move on to the first bookcase here, and up the top I have got some LED lights, some craft hair tie making stuff, I've got some spray cans and things like that there. There's also my gypsy up the top there from the days when I had a cricket. The top shelf I have my craft magazines, my embossing folders, and there's even a book folding project that I haven't finished there. I do like to dabble in book folding occasionally, and there's just some other unfinished projects on there too. On this shelf I have my Kaisercraft ephemera packs that I like to use with my Kaisercraft paper pads. I have some alcohol ink cardstock here, some watercolour cardstock that I got in a kit, and some Kmart photo glossy paper that I plan to use with my Distress Oxides. Here I have one of my Shadowbox book cards. I have done a tutorial on how to make these on my YouTube channel, which you may like to check out. Next shelf down I have my embellishments, my pearls and bling and my sticky bling, my sewing machine, and my overlocker. I don't use these very often, but I do like to have them in my craft room. Sewing stuff and some other crafty paperworky stuff. I have my heat press there. I use my heat press on occasions when I want to apply heat transfer vinyl that I cut on my electronic cutters to clothing, cushion covers, neoprene products and the like. I haven't used my heat press in a while, and that's why it's just down there in the corner and not permanently set up. These 12 by 12 storage containers there are empty, and I like to use those when I go on craft retreats. I have two electronic cutters. I have a Silhouette Cameo and a K&K Zing. This is where they live when I'm not using them. This is where I keep my Tim Holtz guillotine, my envelope maker and my label maker. In this container I keep my new stamps and dies before I label them and put them in their storage pockets. In here I keep completed cards that I have made that are ready to use. My Misty lives in this one, and I'm looking forward to getting the creative corners to use with my Misty. In here are baby wipes. Oh, looks like I need to stock up on those. In this one I keep all the things I need to store my dies and stamps. Up here I have various adapters and cords for my Zing and my Cameo, also blades and Silhouette pens and things like that. I have my heat guns in here. I have a Wagner and another branded one. I like the Wagner the best and use it the most. Various things in there and just some cleaning stuff in there. My Xyron's here and my big roll of 3M Scotch tape, and in that box is just some unfinished projects. Over here I'd like to show you the very first card I made with an electronic cutter. It was when I had a Cricut Expression, and I was so proud of it that I wanted to keep it and keep it on display. So that's it there. Moving around my craft room now, this is one of my display shelves where I've displayed things that I have made, mostly by SVG cuts. The space there between my display shelf and my paper storage is where I store my cutting mats for my cutting machines. Here's where I store my 12 by 12 cardstock, and I label the drawers by colour. Down the bottom is where I store my patterned cardstock. Moving on to where I photograph the cards and things that I make is my light box. Yes, it's a little bit crooked, it's had a hard life. And I've got my rotating turntable there and a wooden tree slice that I like to use for a prop and some flowers. Here is another workspace that I like to have and like to keep bare if I can. I have a cutting mat there and a craft mat that I use for my distress oxides. It's just nice having the extra room too. Moving on to my other display area, I've got some Dreaming Tree projects here and some SVG cuts. Here's where I keep my cutting mat that I use just for when I do videos. I like to keep it clean, neat and tidy, and this is where I stash it so it doesn't get dirty or damaged. And there's some more cutting mats there too for my cutters. And I've got some chipboard there, I just keep it there in case I need it. And this is where I store my scrap cardstock and my A4 cardstock, also my acetate and my vellum, and some specialty cardstocks as well. So a lot of paper storage, and that takes up the most room in my craft room. Underneath my light box and that other work area, I have these drawers, and there's more stuff in them too. In this top one, I have glues, lots of glue. Next drawer, I have tapes, lots of tapes. And this bottom drawer has miscellaneous items like Mod Podge and shimmer sprays. I won't be showing you inside the cupboards because they're a disaster area, but I can tell you that there's transfer tape in them, some alignment tools, extra cutting mats, things like that. Onto my low-line bookcase here. This is an item of furniture that I use the most. It has my 6.5-inch Kaisercraft pads, my stamps, more stamps, and my dies. And I'm inspired by Jennifer Maguire with the way I store them. Under here I have things I reach for the most: glues, tapes. In here I have my acrylic blocks and my embossing powders. I don't have a lot of embossing powders because I don't really do much embossing, but I do like to have the basic necessities on hand. In here's my acrylic blocks, and the good thing about these little tubs is I can take them out and just take them over to my bench when I'm using them. So I've got some ink pads there, they're my chalk ink pads. These are the ink pads that I like to use a lot of as well. I've got my white ink pad, my VersaFine and my Versamark, my blending tools, my Ultranew ink pads and cubes, my Distress Oxide ink pads and my Distress ink pads. Underneath is where I keep my Big Shot when I'm not using it and the various accessories, and my 6x6 cardstock under there. Sorry about my finger. Some scraps. Under here I have some 6x6 card and some envelopes, more scraps, some old wood mounted stamps that I never use. In here in this little tray I keep the things to make those maze cards that I'm in love with at the moment. And just a hodgepodge of other things in there. I have a rubbish bin here that I take to retreats, and there's my tripod. Speaking of my tripod, this is my setup for when I'm filming my YouTube videos. It's not ideal, and eventually I would like to have a camera mount coming down from the ceiling. But in the meantime, this is what I use, and I clip my phone onto that attachment that's on the top of your screen there. Moving on to the other bookcase, and up on the top shelf I just have Dacron and some scrapbook albums. And there's all my other supplies. I'm not going to go in and tell you all of what's there, as you can probably read the stickers, and you've probably got just as much of all this stuff as what I've got. Various glitters, paints, brads, various tools, punches, markers. The list goes on. Crafters have a lot of stuff, and I am no exception. I have some more storage there ready to go for when I get some more ink blending tools. One for every colour I'm planning on. I have some cello bags in there, and my ribbon storage is there. Onto my craft table, and I have not had this table for very long, but it is awesome. It's 1.5 metres by 1.2 metres. It fits everything on that I need with enough room around to walk around. Mainly when I craft on this black mat here, and I stand. I very rarely sit. I have my scoreboard and my caterpillar at the back there, but I absolutely love this rotating carousel where I keep my scissors, my scoring tools, my blades, glues, you name it. If I need it, it's there. I've got my baby wipes here for inky fingers and glue. And I have this magnetic dish here that I use to keep my dies in as I'm using them so I don't lose them on the floor. And I've got my paper towel. This area to the side here, this is usually where my Big Shot lives. I use it so much, it's always there. Not so much with my caterpillar and scoreboard, they're only there for the video. They're normally at the back there on that bench out of my way so I can use this whole big desk. Underneath the desk is my heater and my bin and my power. This power situation drives me crazy because I'm always tripping over the cord and I have to unplug things. It drives me nuts. I'm working on trying to get a better solution. There's my scrap mabob, so very handy on retreats, and I've just put my hobby holster on the table for my glue gun to keep that out of the way and safe. I hope you've enjoyed my craft room tour today. If you have any questions, please comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.